Many people out there say that when someone gets a theory right, Oda goes and changes the story so that no one gets it right. But in this video, I'm going to prove to you that this is a lie. There have been several times when fans incredibly guessed a theory about One Piece. And what did Oda do? He simply followed the story even if someone had guessed it before. Let's go! Because today I'm going to show you how passionate One Piece fans are. Because to guess these theories here, a person has to literally live One Piece. Let's face it, this wasn't the hardest theory to get right back then, but discovering that Buggy would become a Shichibukai was one of the first theories fans got right in One Piece. At that time, we saw that Buggy really had an impressive history and achievements. He had spoken on equal terms with Whitebeard and Shanks, in addition to being considered one of the protagonists of the Impel Down escape and also one of the members of the Roger Pirates. But after the Marineford War, he received a letter from the government. We hadn't seen what that letter was, but given the fact that Buggy was free and respected around the world, it wasn't hard to deduce that it was an invitation to become a Corsair. And yes, this was confirmed after the time skip. After Marineford, we had a flashback revealing that Luffy had a sworn brother named Sabo, who ended up dying in the Goa Kingdom after being attacked by a world noble. However, Oda always left many hints in the manga, on the covers, and in the SBS forums supporting the theory that Sabo was still alive. This is where, in chapter 589, we have the end of the flashback that tells Sabo's death. But then, out of nowhere, in the middle of this flashback, Dragon appears leaving an island, with his men shouting to hurry up with the bandaging. This was enough for all the fans to speculate that Dragon had saved Sabo, and again, they were right. When we first met Blackbeard, he seemed like just an ordinary man. We had no idea that he had this condition of not needing to sleep. This information was revealed in the Odin flashback, where it is mentioned for the first time that Teach doesn't sleep. However, many years before this was confirmed, people already knew in advance. In the early days, Oda released an image of a young Teach, with snow at his feet and a moon beside him while he cried. Up until then, this image seemed to represent the darkness and emptiness of Teach. But in the Drum Island arc, Luffy mentioned to Zoro that a guy at a bar had told him that there were people from snowy countries who didn't sleep because of the wars. Okay, but who could that guy who told Luffy this be? Well, there's only one person who could have said that, Shanks. And folks, we know that Shanks has a connection to Teach. Since they were apprentices, they fought against each other. Since we all knew that the red-haired had knowledge about who Teach was, fans recalled that released image of Blackbeard, where he has snow at his feet while crying at night. Then fans thought, what if Shanks was talking about Teach? And yes, Shanks was talking about Teach. Teach really was part of those people who didn't sleep. Fans, in an incredible way, got the theory right that Blackbeard doesn't sleep. Genius fans, right? When these two were introduced in Punk Hazard, they acted like father and son. However, fans noticed that there was something more behind this. The way they addressed each other was a bit strange. It was then that they deduced that there could be something dark in this relationship and that the father-son story was a lie. And the fans' assumption was correct. Momonosuke was the heir to the throne of Wano, while Kinemon was his vassal, tasked with taking care of him, which explains his obsessive quest to protect his majesty. Even the way they treated each other was explained, where we see that, at first, Kinemon was having difficulties changing the way he referred to his lord. This was the most accurate shot in the dark ever. At that point, we even imagined that the Poseidon weapon could be mentioned on Fishman Island. After all, this weapon had not yet been revealed, and Poseidon should have some connection to the seas. Then, a completely random guy went to Reddit and started a poll about Shirahoshi being the Poseidon weapon. Almost everyone voted no, claiming that this would be impossible, as ancestral weapons are not living beings. But at the end of the arc, King Neptune simply reveals that his daughter is an ancestral weapon. Then I wonder, what was going through this guy's mind to come up with something like that? Years before it was revealed, fans already guessed the theory that Lola was Big Mom's daughter. She had given a Vivre card to Nami in Thriller Bark, saying that when they went to the New World, her mother, an important pirate, could help them in some way. We still hadn't discovered who her mother was, but when we saw Big Mom's Jolly Roger, fans realized that the lips on the flag were identical to Lola's. Then fans thought, well, if their lips are similar and Lola's mother is an important pirate from the New World, everything indicates that they are mother and daughter. In the end, fans got it right. even before this ability of the Minks to transform was shown, One Piece fans already knew it was possible. They came to this conclusion because the Minks are feline animals that can fight. Just because of that, some said they could transform similarly to mythical werewolves. They said that on a full moon night, the Minks would transform like werewolves, gaining much more strength. Then, in Whole Cake, the Minks transformed, and fans got it right again. The ability of Don Quixote Doflamingo's Akuma no Mi was one of the biggest mysteries of the series. He holds the record for having the longest interval between the moment it was first used and the moment it was officially named, extending over 11 years. The only clues fans had about it were that he could control people, cut off limbs, and also fly. Many fans theorized that his power involved the manipulation of strings, based on how he moves his hands like a puppeteer. There is also the presence of the onomatopoeia kui, or kui, as seen in chapter 556, which is similar to the sound of strings or chords tightening. Yes, fans figured out in advance that Kaido had the fruit of a dragon. In Punk Hazard, Kinemon himself said he had a vendetta against dragons. We knew that Kaido was their great enemy, so it wasn't hard to deduce that the beast would be related to that. Not to mention that Kaido's fearsome image is very reminiscent of a dragon. Combining these two factors, fans speculated that Kaido could transform into a dragon, and in the end, they were right. Everyone knew that sooner or later, Luffy would surpass his third gear and engage his fourth, but there was one fan who not only said that Luffy would have a fourth gear, but also described very well how this transformation would work. He mentioned that Luffy's muscles would be enhanced to become stronger, and that a large part of his body would be coated with armament haki. In the end, the guy hit the nail on the head. When Sanji received his suit from Germa, many fans went wild trying to figure out what his powers would be, but there was a group that correctly guessed that Sanji would have the ability to become invisible. They came to this conclusion because Sanji's dream has always been to be invisible, to do what you already know, and since Oda loves to tease Sanji, there would be nothing better than fulfilling his dream through the technology of the people he hates most in this world. After it was revealed that Kinemon and Momonosuke were not related, Oda told us that Momonosuke had sailed on the Pirate King's ship alongside his father. But here's the catch. How could an 8-year-old child have sailed on a ship 20 years ago? The math doesn't add up. That's why fans theorized that the samurai had traveled through time, which would explain why Momonosuke lived in both of those eras. When Admiral Ryokugyu first appeared, he was talking to Fujitora, claiming that he hadn't eaten anything in 3 years. Obviously, that's impossible for a normal human, so fans tried to find a way to explain how the Admiral could do this. They then remembered that plants can survive without the need for food. They live solely on photosynthesis, absorbing energy from the sun. This could explain how Ryokugyu goes so long without eating, leading fans to conclude that he might have the fruit of the forest, allowing him to transform into a plant. And yes, they nailed the theory. And as a good fan of One Piece, I'm also going to make a prediction. This theory says that you will subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Go ahead, I know you won't regret joining our crew. It will be a pleasure to have you here with us. That's it, a big hug, and see you next time.